Hi, everybody. Welcome. We get started at about 2:01. We have a bunch of people. Hi, Eamon. A bunch of people registered for today. We're excited to review this product. It's a fun one to show that doesn't need a whole lot of explanation because it's pretty intuitive and easy to use, and people understand the need for it. So it just turned 2 o'clock. We'll just give it another 60 seconds and we'll get rolling. Okay, why don't we go ahead and get rolling? It's 2:01. People will still be rolling in. Hey, we're gonna record this in case anybody would like to share this with anybody else in their office afterwards, or if anybody tunes in a little bit late. So we'll stick this up on the YouTube channel and share the link. So you'll be able to come back to this if you'd like. But I'd like to just thank everybody for attending today. We're really excited to talk about this new product, which is built into the core SPIRE system, which we're calling Messenger. And we really do believe that this is the fastest, easiest, most convenient, and cost-effective way to communicate with your residents via email or SMS text messaging. So we're going to show that to you today. Before we jump in, just a couple of little housekeeping items. There's a lot of people on this call, so when we do these things one-on-one, we're happy to let everybody just speak and jump in, but it would be a little bit of a free-for-all. So people are going to be muted throughout the webinar. But that said, we do encourage you to post questions in the Q&A as they come up, and we will have some time to run through as many of those as possible at the end. And then lastly, while we have practiced and we tried to optimize the screen so that you can see as much as possible, if you are having trouble seeing it, there is an icon that says pop out that looks like this little box with the arrow up and to the right. If you click that on your screen, you'll be able to enlarge the view of the demonstration. So with all that out of the way, we'll just go into an overview, and then we're going to spend the majority of our time with Jesse leading us through a live demonstration of the product, which we're excited about. So really, the first thing I want to just point out is that this is all natively directly from your MDS property management software, everything that we're doing, right? So there are some big advantages of doing this directly from your system of truth, right? So while there are functions within MDS Explorer to do some of this, you can't send text messages, and the ability to create emails, whether they be bulk or one-offs, it's limited, right? But here, we're going to show you a full functional email editor with the ability to create templates, things like that. But the beautiful thing here is that it's all directly from your system. So you're not syncing out to some third-party tool, whether it be through an automatic sync, maybe typically that would be done on a daily basis, or through the process of exporting information and importing it into, let's say, a constant contact or something like that. It's all right here. And speaking from experience, in a real pinch, when you really want to get a message out, the worst thing is if you have to start exporting and importing, and in a crunch, that's the worst. You want to really be able to do it directly from your system of truth, which is what we're going to be able to accomplish through this system. Really, you're able to send out these hyper-targeted messages using all the same filtering abilities that you're already used to with MDS. So just to give you an example, and we're talking to a crowd here that most of you are probably quite familiar with the different features that are part of the system. And on a lot of reports, at least from the rent management system, there's there's the ability to filter down by, let's say, by status code. You can include or you can exclude by status code. You can say only print for somebody with a certain move-in address, or somebody that vacated after a certain date, or that somebody that owes me more than $50. There's a lot of different ways to filter the information down, and we're giving you all of those abilities when creating a list that you'd like to send a message out to, so you can really hyper target these things. And then, while I think it will be self-evident, the system is just really intuitive and easy to use. I mentioned it already, but we do have the ability to create and maintain templates just for really repeatable, consistent, fast messaging. And then also ad hoc messages are really easy to create on the fly. And really, most of you won't need any training, or again, like after seeing this can almost be your training. But and then kind of lastly, the big broad bucket of what we were going to be pointing at is that this is allowing you to really centralize all of your communications into one place. So what we're trying to give you the ability to do is to really shift a lot of one-on-one text messages. Maybe you have a superintendent or a property manager out there in the field, or you have 25 of them out there, and each of them has all these different strings of messages going on. We're going to give you the ability to really transfer that into a centralized place so that multiple people can see and touch and interact with the same resident as if it was a single person on the other end. And then we're doing things like you might expect, like we're monitoring open rates, reply rates, bounce rates, things like that. So that said, I'm excited to turn it over to Jesse to actually dive into the live product. And then, like we said, we're going to wrap it up with some Q&A. So please don't be shy. We know our customers are not shy. Keep those questions coming into the Q&A, and we'll handle them at the end.
Okay, thanks a lot, Adam. So like Adam said, I'm going to be showing you the SPIRE messenger system today. And there's really two main components to it. There's the bulk messaging, and there's the one-on-one messaging. And I'm going to start with the bulk messaging. And each of those components, whether it's bulk or the one-on-one, has SMS, also known as text messages. Technically, for those that are a little more technical, it also supports MMS, which are messages with pictures or mixed media messages. And it also, the bulk emails could be, so that or emails. And then the same with the one-on-one messages, text and or emails. So let's start off with some bulk messaging. So the first thing I'm going to do is build out my list of contacts to whom I want to send the message. So one way to do it is click on a building, and now you have all the tenants in the building. And perhaps that's who you want to contact. Easy enough. Maybe the elevator is going to be down. But maybe we want to fine-tune that list. Adam was mentioning tenant selection criteria. That's a term we use in the report generator, but that allows you to filter your tenants basically however you want. So maybe you just want to include your stabilized tenants, or people that moved in a certain date, or people that owe a certain amount of money or more, or just commercial, things like that. But here we have our list of tenants, or really contacts, that we want to send a message to. And the reason I say contacts is because you can also say, well, include all the additional contacts that have a certain label or technically category code of roommate or guarantor, something like that. So you can not just email the primary person or the primary tenant or leaseholder that's in the unit, but you could email the additional contacts as well based on different categories. So in this case, I have my list of everyone I want to send a message to. You can pick everybody. You could just manually select some, and you could choose bulk email or bulk SMS. I'm going to do bulk email. So first, I'm just going to choose which address to send from. I'm just going to choose my hello@multidataservices.com address. But so yeah, you could have as many addresses set up as you want, maybe for different departments, for example. And then when it gets sent out, we make sure to follow all the best practices so that these messages, which are technically bulk messages, they're going out to many people, have a very high success rate, high deliverability rate. So there's certain, things that we have to make sure happen on the back end so that we do have a successful deliverability rate as possible. But anyway, let's proceed with composing this email. So we could just write out an email, like, for example, dear, and then we could put a field in. I'll search for dear and then their first name. So this is what some people would refer to as a mail merge, but we could pick we could pick from basically any field in the system and then insert it into the contents of the message, whether it's an email or an SMS. You could also drag and drop pictures into it or attachments, use all your common formatting options. But in this case, I'm actually going to just choose a template. So I'm going to do the avoid late fees and pay now template. So now this email is going to go out to everybody that I chose. In this case, I probably chose everybody that owes money. It's going to replace the name with the name variable with their name, and it's going to put in your management company name. You can also, of course, put in your phone number, anything you want. Any data that's in the system could basically be inserted into this message. And now I'm just going to click preview. And so here's all the messages that would go out if I hit send. So I could actually customize this further before it goes out. So for example, I know this guy really likes to be called Mr. So I just added the word Mr. there. And now this email has a little label personalized. So you know this one's different now. Just a little tip to help you sort through what you're doing. But if this looks good, we can hit send now. But before I do that, I'll just check one more time. The recipients looks good. I could have also manually added any BCC or CC that I wanted. In this case, I'm just going to hit send now. And now it goes off into what we call the notification center. So this is a new concept we're introducing where you're not only going to see things that are happening like a bulk email that you went out and here's the status just changed to sending in progress. So now it's going to change momentarily probably to successful or sent for delivery. So this is where you get notified about certain things. For example, the bulk email we just looked at, and I'm not going to go off on too much of a tangent from messaging, but this is also where you're going to end up seeing everything, whether it's a new text message, a report that's finished, a check that's done printing, a lockbox batch that's done importing. So just a nice place to see all things that you probably want to be notified about when they're done. But that's kind of a different story, but this is the beginning of that notification center. So anyway, I just sent a bulk email, and you could see, again, like I said, it was sent for delivery. So now if we want, we could actually see it on the tenant's record and see if it was delivered. We'll see if it was actually opened by the tenant. So let's take a look. So now we're on what we technically call the profile page. It's probably more referred to as the tenant file. So let's go to their email messages. And I'm just going to pull up the account that I sent that message from. And here I am on the sent tab. You could see the message that I just sent out, and you could see it was delivered. And then once this person actually opens the message, there'll be another tag over here that says opened, and then it'll also tell you when it was opened. So now you have a lot of information. Like, for example, you just maybe emailed somebody that they owe money, and now you're going to call and say, hey, did you get that email? And I don't know what you're talking about. Well, actually, do whatever you want with the information, but you have tracking information that they literally opened the email. So, it's probably a beneficial thing. So that is how bulk emails work in a nutshell.
So just to expand out a little bit. So right from here, you can carry on a conversation now with the resident, right? Jesse can reply. If they reply here, it'll show up here. Jesse can reply here, and the entire strand, the entire string of messages, just like as if you were in your own inbox, will be reflected right there.
Correct. All right. So let me go back to my list of buildings. I'm just going to quickly demonstrate a bulk SMS. It's, like Adam said, you don't really need much training for this. So as you think, we're probably thinking, click bulk SMS. So that's what I'm going to do. So now I'm going to send out a bulk message, a bulk SMS. Again, we have the concept of templates, and these templates are applicable whether you're doing bulk or not. Bulk versus one-on-one messages. So here I'm just going to tell everybody in the building that the elevator is going to be out tomorrow. Sorry about the inconvenience. Here's our phone number if you want to call us and find out more. So let's hit send now. Just put in the description. All right, so we just sent that message. So now, if the tenant or the contact does reply.
Already received it, by the way.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
So you might as well reply. But once a reply goes through, the notification count actually will go up. So we're going to know that there is something new happening. So let's probably take a look at it. You could also see the same thing on their actual tenant file. So if I click on SMS messages in the actual tenant file, you can see a history of all the messages over here. And you can also As you can see, I just got a reply, and you could just carry on the conversation from here. And now it's completely visible to everybody that has permissions in your organization to see this message and even pick up on it. So it's no more like having to, these side conversations that just get lost in the sauce. So everything is linked right into Spire. All right, so that's bulk emailing and bulk SMS. And now we'll take a look at the one-on-one messaging. We already did take a look at one-on-one SMS because we picked up the bulk message as a one-on-one message. So now we sent out this bulk message, and then we started texting back and forth with the tenant. We also have email messages. So this is an email that we sent to Adam, and this is just like kind of like a regular inbox. You just are going to see all the emails that have gone back and forth between you and this person that you're emailing with. And you can compose an email. It's just like when you're composing the bulk email, you could use your templates. You could add in anyone you want to CC, BCC. You can manually enter recipients. One thing I didn't mention before is, if we're doing especially a bulk message, and let's say we picked everybody in the building, but certain people told you they want to be opted out of emails. Same thing with text. We have the opt out for texts. Then they'll show up here saying you selected this person to email, but they're not going to get the email because they opted out. So just a little piece of information for you. But yeah, you could just type your email, drag and drop pictures, do all your paragraph formatting and everything like that, and carry on the conversation right from your tenant file in SPIRE. A few other things. When there's messages in your text, in your inbox, in your SMS inbox, you could actually, and if there's attachments in it, you could actually right click on the attachment and, for example, download it and save it as a real tenant attachment to their tenant file. Like it's always going to be in your SMS history, but maybe it's a particularly important file. So then you could download it and link it as an attachment. And there's other things similar like that you could do with that as well. But that's really it in a nutshell. I mean, it's pretty simple, but it's pretty powerful as well. So Adam, I'm going to hand it back to you now.
Okay. All right, great. Well, thank you, Jesse. We do have at least one question. Just jump back over to the slide. So Robert's asking, and I'll let you answer, but although I know the answer too. So if a tenant responds, let's say we send out 500 text messages, right? And people are going to start responding, right? How are we going to know? Where are those responses going to show up?
You're going to start getting your notification bell filling up, and
you know what? Why don't I give you the screen back so you can actually show it?
Oh yeah, I didn't realize it wasn't. Let's share that again. So as texts start pouring in, this notification count is just going to keep increasing. And then once you read it or manually acknowledge it, it goes away. So there's a notification center where you can keep track of that. And within here, you could say, well, today I'm just going to deal with new text messages. So here's all the text messages that I have not yet replied to or manually acknowledged, meaning I'm not going to do anything with it right now. Side note,
you can see that the ticker just went up to 34 because I responded to something from earlier.
Nice. Side note, the concept of unknown SMSs, maybe there's too much information, but because you might get a text from someone that's not one of your tenants. So therefore it's not going to get linked to their tenant file because there's no tenant file for them, but it'll still show up in your notification center because maybe it's a new phone number from them. You don't have them on file. So then you could just pick up the conversation right from here and just, who are you? Are you a tenant? Yes. And then eventually you maybe add the phone number to their account. And then now that the phone number is on their account, the history is automatically there. Everything starting from when you didn't even know who they were. Yeah. So that's the answer to that question, plus more.
So I don't see any other questions in there right now, but I one question that usually people have is how much will this cost us? And I can answer that. So are there some new ones here? Or we do have some new ones as well, but I'll go ahead and answer that question too. I wouldn't be surprised if it was asked here. Emailing is just included with the system, right? We don't have to pay anything in the back end for emailing. If you have Spire, you'll have the ability to send these emails. Text messages are pennies. They're less than 3 cents. It depends on how many messages you buy, but you can basically buy a big bundle of messages and then just eat away at them until you need more. And the more that you buy up front, the less money that they will cost. But we're trying to make this as accessible as possible and very competitive with the marketplace. So that said, why don't we go ahead and take a look at some of these new questions that have come in. Can they send photos?
Tenants can send you whatever attachments you want, and then it'll come through in the text message. And then also with your emails, yeah, you could attach photos.
Okay. And then Maddie's asking, who will see the notification?
Well, it's technically anyone that has permissions to do this stuff. So like
there's permissions around this.
Yeah, there's also these notifications. A lot of them are also user based. Well, as far as the messaging goes, yeah, if you have permissions to do messaging, then you'll get the notifications.
So you'd also have to have permission to that specific building. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes.
And that at least rhymes with Ellen's question. Can everyone from our property management company see all of the text and email chains, histories that are sent from our company, or is the history chain only on the individual Spire login that sent it?
It's global. So if you have permissions to do the text messaging, for example, then you could see all the text messages for the buildings that you have access to.
Okay. So, and then John asked, are the emails within MDS separate from our other email addresses? Or are they, let's say we have a Gmail email. Does it all sync through Gmail Outlook? Same question for SMS.
Yes, great question. The emails, when you set up your email account, and I'll just go through the motions real fast. Get rid of this. We want to set up a new account. So we have either local email provider. I'm just going to say 8P. And then you link up with your actual email account. So you're going to link up, whether it's a Google account, a 365 or Office Microsoft account, put in your credentials, it'll link it up, and then actual messages that you send and receive through Spire will be in your real inbox. That's true for the one-on-one messages. Bulk messages work a little different. They go through what's called SMTP. I don't want to get too technical, but this is how it works with any bulk email system. It has to go through SMTP, and then it's up to the software provider to show you tracking information or not, and that's why we do show tracking information. We still show the message that was sent only from Spire. You're not going to see it in your actual whatever Gmail account, for example, because that's just not how it works. But you could still see it. When I say that's not how it works, I mean that's not how it works with any bulk email system. But you can definitely see the message from the tenant's file. I think that answered the question.
And then there's a question from Maddie, whether or not the text bundles expire. As of now, they do not. That could change in the future, but right now, anything that you buy will not expire. Some of that's going to be dependent on whether or not the way that we buy the messages changes, but as of now, they do not expire. And then Harry is asking, what text address or number shows up when received by a tenant? It's a great question.
Yes, that is a great question. So each client that signs up gets their own specific number. We'll work with you. They can pick an area code. It will give you some choice to pick from. Basically, it's going to be a new phone number that becomes yours.
David's asking if incoming messages are priced at the same price as outgoing messages. I believe they do both use a transaction. That's correct, right, Jesse?
I think so, but I'll have to
confirm. I'm sure that they do.
Okay.
Yeah. When will the price menu be available? Robert, that's a great question. We have it. I'll work with your account executive to follow up with you on that. And of course, anybody else that would like similar, we're happy to provide that.
I think you might have missed John's message, Adam.
Go ahead and read it out, Eddie.
Yeah, he says for the SMS messages sync to email, or is it just within MDS? 3 cents per text, send and receive, or just sent?
So it's both. That was another question that David had. It's both sent and received. It's less than 3 cents, but I'm just saying 3 cents because that's like top end. If you buy like 100 messages, which is nothing. And the SMS messages sync to email or to email.
I think he's saying that they sync both to the email and to within MDS Inspire.
So both the text messages and the emails both sync back to the occupant file. I don't know if that answers the question or not, but Eddie, you could certainly follow up with John. Just have a conversation. How do tenants get alerted to the fact that they can opt out?
You could tell them via some sort of bulk message. But
so I don't, without getting too deep into the weeds, like in order to work with the back end providers that provide these types of services, you need to pass through certain you need to prove to them that you're not a spammer, essentially, and you need to tell them what your business case is. And you're actually technically you're getting a quote unquote campaign approved. So we do have on our roadmap to like add in the ability to where it will automatically tell them like text stop to opt out, right? And then we also have the ability to like we're adding in the ability to click unsubscribe from an email. But with that said, and you're all in the same boat, right? Because you all have leases with the residents. Like we explained our specific business case, and if you're doing commercial text messaging, like if anybody here ever received a text message from like, I don't know, Costco, like save $50 on your mattress or something like that, whatever. That's a commercial text message that you are required to include an opt-out functionality on that. But for these types of informational type messages, you are not required to do that. So again, we've kind of jumped through all those hoops already. But so really my point is that, yeah, we're adding that. It's not a big deal. But at the same time, you shouldn't be shy to start using a system like this without that.
there is, but that's all true. But there is, if they tell you that they don't want to receive messages, you can click on their antenna file, opt out for text or email.
Yeah.
But it's our understanding that, like what Adam just said, we're not spamming them. We're really just carrying on conversations that we could obviously legally have on the phone. We could obviously, nothing's legal advice that I'm saying, actually. That's my disclaimer. But, clearly you could call somebody up and say, hey, you owe $1,000. Well, then you can text them the same thing, within reason. That's our understanding of it. So, but yes.
That's what we've worked with the providers on.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw in the chat, but Honest asked, is there any way to have auto billing assigned to the property once the messages are sent, i.e. building fee is $1,000 a month and we use $40 in messages? Can it be automatically implemented as an adjustment?
So we're working on, these things are always rolled out in phases, and we're working on the ability to kind of just handle all this billing automatically through the back end. So for instance, like if somebody wants to buy 10,000 text messages, we don't want to have to, we just want you to be able to plug a credit card in or bank account information and just pay for it and be done with it. So as we are creating that system, Jesse, this is a really good point, right? If you wanted to be able to break out the fees to individual buildings, we will take that into consideration when we're building that system. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's not going to be the first time.
We'll split it, right?
Yeah. That's not going to be the first time that's asked. That's for sure. Yeah, honest, we'll figure that out.
Kind of like how when you book management fees, you could like book it to each property. So yeah, I get the concept. That's a great idea.
Lots of questions. I love it. This is great. Very interactive. Let's see. Do we have anything else here?
I think that was it. I don't see any other questions or anything else in the chat.
All right, excellent. Okay, well, we are going to make this recording available. So, for anybody that hopped on late, or if you'd like to share it with anybody else in the office. But, we're certainly here standing by to follow up with anybody that would like to speak individually. But we're really excited about this one. That we've heard a lot of requests for something like this. We've been working hard on it. It's going to continue to get better, although it is quite robust as is. So, again, thank you all for your time. Really appreciate you hopping on, and we will speak to you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.